Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome back to another Wargame Red Dragon replay commentary video where I will be playing with the Red Dragon Marines that I created in the last video. Got a pretty excellent game going on for you guys right now, as what I've done in the previous games, or recently. I have just been joining games that have been open, and I just have so luckily happened to find one. And this one is going to be about an hour long, because with Marines and naval engagements, they kind of take a little bit longer, as you got to have a strategic patience to do that. Navy combat's kind of a little bit slower paced, so as long as you have the patience, it's certainly to be an entertaining event. So let's just get this underway. So at the very start of this game, I am going to be sending my CV truck over here to capture Boris. I am also going to be sending an MI-1 recon helicopter. It's going to be going over here to this side of the island to make sure that nothing sneaks out from the Blue Forest side. And additionally, I have another CV truck that is able to float successfully, as it is a part boat. It's going to go here onto Anna and get us some nice points right here. And it's also backed up by the M1992 with its Conqueror's missiles and very good optics. It is significantly slower in the ocean than the CV truck. It is going to be going right here to basically provide another recon point. And also, the Conqueror's missiles that it has can target ships, which the ship's close-in weapon systems cannot stop. And it's actually medium stealth, which means most ships without recon can't see it if it shoots its missile at them. In the meanwhile, I am also going to be taking over center here. I have a recon truck that is moving forward. It is going to go right about into, I think here, or up here. It's going to basically make sure there's no enemy forces that are going to be beelining straight down into center. I also have a bunch of cheaper infantry trucks, as well as two Shilkas. Shilkas are actually pretty good, as they are non-radar. Very good for taking out any kind of planes or helicopters that are coming down the center at the start. Now, my ally over here, I can't really pronounce that. I think that's Con Biotep? I doubt I did that right. He is going up here and going to be taking over Constantine. Already dropped off a couple of GRUs with the UAV and is bringing in a Buratino, probably as a defensive measure. He has his helicopters here on standby, ready to sweep in when the enemy pounces, and he's sending an Mi-25 really far into the back right here to unload his recon squad. The fact that there's no helicopters or any kind of troops that seem to be coming down means that this recon squad is going to be landed right way behind their lines unspotted. So that was pretty well done. However, it looks like my other ally, Messer, is just dropping off his troops to try to defend Elena instead of actually sending troops down here in Jot. Maybe he was newer, not quite sure what to do. I'll cut him some slack. The only thing that I would like him to do is just defend right here to make sure the enemy doesn't push forward. But now that he's kind of left Jot completely to the enemy, I am going to have to bring an MI-1 to make sure there's no forces coming straight down the road here. And I'm going to need to position my troops just in case the enemy tries to move across this forest. Which also means I need to be more selective of where I place my CV. Since I am going to be, this is the Marine deck, I am going to be trying to hold on to center, but I am going to focus on the Navy later on. So the Mi-8 is going to land right here, drop off its command infantry squad. I drop it off over here onto the right because I am a little weary that the enemy might be coming down through here. And with these trucks and the Luandi and Igla here and the Mi-8 circling overhead, I have a reasonable confidence that this CV squad can defend itself all right. We are just letting the guy know that he needs to be defending up here. He does have a tank and a Conqueror's M, but he definitely needs to add more. Looks like Calm, I'm just going to call him Calm, he is just continually reinforcing here onto Constantine. I sure hope that his front, if he pushes into Leonid, does work out. He does have the advantage of having a recon squad, and looks like he's sending the Mi-25. But looks like there is, that is probably a KM-1, I forgot the exact number definition, but it's a anti-air gun from the South Koreans, because the fact that it did not reload at all. I am pretty sure that that was what it was. So the M1992, with its 30 kilometer per hour, is still out in the sea, whereas the CV truck, with its 50 kilometers an hour, has successfully made it to its location and captured Anna for me. I have another MI8 because at this point I moved up my MI1. The enemy had only just now captured Fedor, and I just thought that they were really lagging or behind on capturing Fedor. Well, I might as well try to see if I could sneak capturing it. Well, since they have captured it right now, this MI8 is going to be put on standby for the moment. I'm definitely going to need to start pushing onto it now, and I'm going to begin that by bringing in the Silverraptor that we have in this deck. I'm just going to speed up a little bit, as not a whole lot is going on at the moment. Silverraptor is 500 points, so I am very mindful of this, but I'm going to be bringing this up so that we can eventually begin our push onto Fedor. If I can neutralize Fedor, I can then begin my amphibious landing over here into Greg. This is going to be my ultimate goal in going the sea route. Also in the center, I am just reinforcing this area, bringing in a couple of Z9As with some Lijuan 90s. They will be able to help out to assist with any infantry push that might be coming in. Looks like Messer is finally crossing the bridge and river here. That was just on fast move. It is amphibious. So he's going to take the force. So he is starting to make progress, pushing forward through to Jot. It looks like Com is going to help him out a bit as well. He's flying over an Su-7B Seed aircraft, but it turned a little too far, not close enough to engage the Patriot, which outranges it, as this only has 4,550. Second Patriot missile does indeed hit it, so it is going to go down. And looks like an attack missile is going to take out the Akula that was parked for too long. Oh, that was an expensive helicopter that we didn't really want to lose, and so now the enemy does have a bit of an advantage, 280 points. But my Silverraptor is full steaming ahead between these islands, and seeing that there's just a couple of Anfas here, probably after they dropped off some infantry, I've decided let's go and use these long-range anti-air missiles that the Silverraptor had to good effect. They're going to charge straight ahead. It looks like the enemy is sending the Bison over onto the right-hand side, trying to flank me from there. Looks like some regular rocket artillery is coming in as well, and those Proletary 90s that he dropped off initially at Elena, he loaded them back in the BVP and managed to get up right here into the buildings, which is perfect. It's a surprise the enemy took so long to take these buildings. Proletary 90s are going to go up and engage the Resi squad, and now they are able to sideshot an M1A2 Abrams, giving us a huge point advantage right there from the start. M1A2 is also going to be retreating. Does take a front shot from the RPG that it had. Proletary 90s are going to retreat, so he is doing pretty well. Bison is coming over onto the right side. I have no idea if it has troops in it or if he's just using it to scout. My CV squad moves through a couple of buildings just in case the Bison might have spotted, and the MI8 is going to respawn with its rocket pods. Try to see if it can sink this Bison. Bison is a little bit damaged, but so far not enough rockets are going to be able to do enough damage to sink it, and the MI8 is out of rockets, so it is going to have to go back for a refill. And meanwhile, I am bringing up a Jangu 3. This is going to be joining the Silverraptor, and I decided to take it onto the left-hand side so that it can shoot at the Bison as it goes around that side. Shells coming in. One does score a direct hit. Needs a little bit more, as these are just HE rounds that are being fired, but they're pretty significant HE rounds. More shells coming in. And yes! Bison goes down, and with the plus 25 points, it looks like there were the Resi squad I'm betting on there. They was going to try to sneak behind our lines and see if he could spot anything. So, it's a good thing the Jangu 3 came by when it did. And the Nushka 3 is also going to be coming up. In the meanwhile, the enemy has dropped in 2 Type 21s to counteract my Silverraptor. And the Type 21s are not that good. If you can see, the Sea Cats are meh in terms of range. The XSS are not very good. But the Congo, basically the Silverraptor version of Blue 4, does come in Silverraptor is going to have to try to stop these exocet missiles that are coming in, but it looks like those missiles were actually going to be aimed for the Jangu 3. I was kind of surprised that it had that kind of range. But I turned off the Silverraptor's muskets so that the Jangu 3 couldn't range when so that the missiles can time up, and they can launch their missiles generally at the same time, see if they can overwhelm the close-in weapon system. So first missiles going in, all sorts of missiles coming in, and one of the missiles does hit the Type 21, doing serious damage to it. Another couple of missiles are coming in from, I think, the Congo. Missiles are coming in, are successfully deflected out. This is going to be a bit of a back and forth. Silverraptor letting off another barrage of musket missiles, and the Hatsuyuki is also coming forward. Other missile does take out one of the Type 21s, and that does go down. And in addition, the explosion does damage the other Type 21 as well. Jangu 3 and Silverraptor doing a 3-missile barrage. 2 missiles hit, leaving that Type 21 with 1 HP left and the weapon operator injured, so that is going to be a dead ship very soon. That missile is missed entirely. Looks like it might have been going for the Congo instead. Jangu 3 firing another missile, swerving side to side, trying to get all of its missile batteries launched, and another Type 21 is going to be sleeping with the fishes as my ships are just peppering them slowly but surely. Now, the Hatsuyuki does have pretty good close-in weapon systems, and the Congo also has a very good close-in weapon system, so it's going to be a little bit while before we can overwhelm their missiles, especially with their defense system, especially since they're nearly out of missiles. So I am bringing up a Muna to resupply my Silverraptor and my Jangu 3. I'm also bringing up another Jangu 3 to add a little bit of firepower to the mix. And I'm just going to park it here, just wait for the ships to come to me, as my missiles do kind of outrange them with 8,750 to how far is the Congo? About the same. But I think the Congo is out of missiles at this point. Hatsuyuki, I think... No, they actually have the 8. Alright. Now, over on the left, it looks like Com is doing a massive attack over here onto the left-hand side. The EDV-90, we're actually managed to get an M1A1 weapons jam, nearly took it out. Looks like the enemy did manage to suppress his attack a little bit, but he did get his recon squad behind. I think he's playing with a General Red 4 deck because he seems to have all sorts of different types of units. But he does have a lot of Soviets, so that's interesting. Oh, that's Messer's. That's Messer's troops. Okay, interesting. Longbow comes forward. It's going to take out those Squizettes because those are fire forget Hellfire missiles, so no amount of stunning would be able to stop it. But the Longbow is taking quite a bit of damage. Maybe if he could just get enough firepower on it, he'd be able to take out the Longbow. It is on 1 HP left. Squizette is going to be aiming. Lost sight of that. Speciality looks like they shot down a couple of the anti-air helicopters. And artillery's coming in there. Longbow is on the retreat. So at least he managed to force the Longbow into a retreating action. Recon squad was indeed spotted as 2 M2A1 Bradleys are coming down. If these RPG-26 will be able to take them out. Does destroy one of them. Very nice. So that is probably one squad less that he has to deal with. He's going to be moving up, see if he can get that before he drops off his infantry. Did drop off its Rifleman 90s, but the RPG-26 fires, takes out the other Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, and now these Rifleman 90s are panicked. The Special Forces squad, even though they're on 1 HP, they are only worried, and their bullets are quite accurate, as the Rifleman 90 are very panicked, very low accurate weapons. And who is actually going to win this? I don't even know. Rifleman 90s are stunned, so it looks like the Special Forces, with their superior training and better weaponry, don't take out the Rifleman 90 squads. Proving once again the Rifleman 90 squads are not really worth their luster. And Messer is also pushing here into the center, so it looks like he's making up for the losses at the free gain for the enemy at the start by bringing his forces forward and retaking the position that the enemy has moved in. The Mi-84 takes 2 side shots by the Canadian Airborne 90 that needs to retreat immediately, but a rocket toss with napalm grenade does indeed take that out. Now over on the right hand side, the enemy is actually attacking by Silverraptor. And that's actually very smart on their point. Is Sovereignty doesn't move very much, and that does whittle them down quite a bit. But I think they spent 4 attack shells on this, and the Sovereignty is still standing, and so it's still be able to provide its Moscow support. But I do need to be wary of that. Another Hatsuyuki's coming in and firing a couple of harpoon missiles. Jagu 3 is already going to be returning fire with its own missiles, as the close-in weapon systems do successfully take that out. The missile coming in is taken out by their countermeasures as the Hatsuyuki and Kongo are moving forward. The Nanushka 3 is going to be moving forward so they can get into range with its anti-ship missiles. They are a little shorter range than everything else. Missiles coming in. One does hit the Nanushka, as the Nanushka is firing its missiles ahead. Django 3 is going to try to come in, see if he can protect it, but there's these 4 missiles, that's way too much. Django 3 is going to be going down, but that was expected. Other than Nanushka 3 is going to be moving up. Messer is also going to bring up his own Sovereignty, as these missiles are also intercepted by the Hatsuyuki. So the missiles are flying back and forth. Sovereignty doesn't have any missiles. Current S-2000 is going to be opening up its seed, but it got into range of the Sovereignty's anti-air, so it is going to be taking out one of the seed planes. Another seed plane is going down as well, so tram intruders are going to escape. And the close-in weapon systems are going to be stopping the missiles here. And as you see, more and more ships are coming. Lafayette's are joining, Champion Rees, and I realize they are greatly overcommitting. One missile actually got through and hit the Hatsuyuki straight into the bow. As the Nanushka is actually going to charge forward, bid on a suicide rush, and this is intentional. This is to force the enemy to... Oh my word, the Hatsuyuki went down. The last missile barrage took out one of those ships. The Nanushka is to unload its missiles and basically provide the screening force so that the enemy has to chase it. The reason why it's retreating is that its gun is actually on the stern, so it will fire as it retreats as the enemy comes into range. More Django 3 missiles are going to be coming in. Those are indeed intercepted, as the Muna and the Sovereignty of Django 3 are all going to exit stage right and try to avoid the fire from the enemy. MI8 is just sitting around and kind of, after I brought it in, seeing if I could do something cheeky, not really doing very much. Now over here into the center, it looks like Messer is marking that there is a radar AA that we need to be worried about. The longbow is repaired up, that was engaged with earlier. Commander is finally taking out the forces that Messer had managed to sneak in there, as Com is re-establishing his position here in Constantine. And F-15A Eagle is coming for this K-52 and Akula. There's a bunch of other planes behind it. Bunch of F-15As. Those are 3 F-15As that did indeed take out the Ka-52. Buck is going after one of the F-15A Eagles. Does shoot that down, so that Eagle is going to be reintroduced to gravity, I should say. Sovereignty is being peppered by more and more ATACMS missiles, and so it is heavily damaged. I need to retreat that very, very far as fast, because this is 500 points that I do not want to lose. But with the amount of ships that I have been taking out, kind of emphasized the point that Red 4 does have slightly better ships. Even with Hatsuyuki, a 250-point ship, to fall to the missile systems of a couple of Django 3s, especially in the midst of other ships, not too good. Congo is firing one missile before it got out of range of the Sovereignty. Even though the Sovereignty is on fire, I do expect to be able to stop that missile, which it does successfully. A couple of Django 3s and another Nanushka is coming in with reinforcements, and this is about all of my ships right now, as I am trying to hold off the enemy forces. Missile comes in, Lafayette are going to be taking that out, and this is actually kind of a good thing. An interesting fact about the Lafayette is that they don't have any close-in weapon system guns. Their anti-ship capabilities are those Crotal missiles, and once those Crotal missiles are up, it can no longer defend itself. So that is something that you need to keep in mind when fighting or playing with a Lafayette. Django 3s are going to turn to the side so that they can unleash their missile barrage. Sovereignty is coming into the back, as the other Django 3 is trying to unload its radar missiles. One of the missiles almost hit the Congo, barely being shot down in time, and another couple of missiles are coming through. Both of those missiles, again, are stopped as the Sovereignty is reloaded and is firing its own musket missiles to join with the Django 3s. First missile is shot down, second missile is shot down, and this is just a little bit of back and forth action as I just keep peppering the enemy forces to keep their ships at bay. Missile after missile is fired. Oh, there's looks like an ATACMS squad is coming in. Looks like it's going for my Sovereignty. It's on 1 health, and the Sovereign Many does indeed go down to that attack of missile, bridging the gap pretty close, so that was a very unfortunate loss on my part. But as another attack missile comes in, this is actually kind of a waste. Oh no, he actually retargeted onto my Jangu 3, so very, very good attempt on his part. My Munas are coming forward and are reloading the Jangu 3s as best as they can. As the standoff continues, the Sovereign Mini is also being peppered by ATACMs as well. So a lot of ATACM missiles are coming in against these ships, which is one of the ways that Blue 4 can counteract Red 4's ship advantage. Mi-84 is coming up against an Mi-IP, but it looks like the longbow is acquired, and it is indeed take out that tank. Longbow's very deadly indeed, so you definitely need to be worried about that. A couple of Thermal Hornets are coming in. All the missiles are successfully deflected as more missiles are going in for the Congo. Looks like some of the missiles have actually gotten through and hit the Congo successfully. I sent in a couple of Fabeos with the Seed aircraft. They do quite a bit of damage to the Congo, but they do fly pretty close. I kind of forgot that Fabeos had 4 missiles, so I expected them to fire 2 missiles and an evac before. By the time I realized my mistake, it was a bit too late, so I let them just do the full gun run to get all the missiles off, because I knew I was going to lose those planes anyway. That Congo is being heavily targeted, and another missile goes through, and this Congo's on 2 health, and now needs to go into full retreat, trying to hold off the missiles that are just constantly coming in by these Jangu 3s that I have, as they pepper the Congo and all the ships around. And LCU is trying to repair that Congo, as this is just kind of a long-range engagement. Ship warfare is not something that I have done very much lately in Wargame. My Nanushka is moving up. I'm not entirely sure if that was an accident. I'm pretty sure that was. Jangu 3s are also going to be bringing in another barrage of missiles. Nanushka is also trying to get range of missiles. They're now targeting the LCU now that I see it properly. I do not want it to be able to resupply these ships with any other missiles. Missiles coming in for the Nanushka, which are successfully deflected, as the LCU is taken out, and the explosion does do damage to the Lafayette and Hatsuyuki. Congo was too far back for that explosion to hit it. More missiles are coming in, are successfully deflected as the Nanushka fires the last of its missiles. In another barrage, another Hatsuyuki does go down from that missile barrage, so I am taking out the enemy Blue 4 ships one at a time. They are bringing in more and more ships. Looks like another Type 21. Not scared of this. Type 21s are infamously bad, as the other 2 I took out without a second thought. Another Nanushka 3, and I do believe that this is the last of my ships. I keep saying that. As my Jangu 3s are now coming up into a bit more fire position to see if they can try to get a missile onto the Congo. Artillery is also coming down onto the Congo as well. See if it can stun it up, or even if one good shell hits it, be able to take it out. Artillery is missing, so the Congo is still in full retreat, as a Lafayette is going to try to shoot it down with its missiles. Type 21 is also trying to get into the fray, be able to try to shoot them down with its Sea-Cap missiles. 65% accurate, but pretty lackluster range. Not very much range to try to intercept an incoming enemy missile ship. Looks like some HE shells are coming in against these ships, but these ships are somewhat armored, so not going to take too much damage from them. Lafayettes are going to be opening up against this Nanushka. Countermeasures from all my ships do successfully stop all of that, as the missiles are coming in, are successfully intercepted. One just flies off into the completely wrong direction. Another 2 missiles fire from the Nanushka, aiming for the Lafayette. Lafayette turns rear. Both hit into the rear, and the Lafayette is completely destroyed and is also going to be sinking down. So I have been successful in my Marine deck and just whittling down the enemy's Navy forces. And if I can completely destroy the Navy, I can begin my push into Fedor. Like I said, that is my goal from the start. It looks like Com and Messar have been working together to do a push into Leonid. Artillery is coming in and is doing heavily bit of damage to these vehicles that are hidden around here. Looks like a couple of tanks. That is and looks like an Israeli ship, a Super Galib from Messer does take that out, as another Merkava is in Leonid. I I tried to warn Messer that his Sovereign was about to die. It did. That did give the enemy another point advantage, but other group of ships are coming in. But the missiles are indeed intercepted, as my combined ship close-in weapon system are able to defend each other against any airborne attack. This Muna is finally almost out of fuel, as another wheel is coming to take its place. And this last Muna, now that it's out of fuel, is actually going to do something that I did purposefully. I put this fob over here at the very, very edge of the beach. And you guessed it, that Muna is going to come to that fob. Now, the fob has 16,000 liters of supply, and the Muna has 15,000 liters of supply. So this is going to drain my fob, but it will let this Muna do its job and resupply all of my ships once over. And that was the whole purpose of putting my fob on the beach. Another cluster munition is coming in. Looks like it, I'm not sure if it almost killed the Merkava, but they are going to get away on, well, limp away from that beating. And so I guess it's up to Messer and Calm to continue their push into Leonid. And I like how Messer wisely decided to back up Calm instead of trying to push back into Jot, knowing that the enemy was probably full well and waiting for him. We're just not happy to let them have Jot and then push into Leonid and then flank them from their right, our left. Looks like the Merkava is back into position as the OT-64C is going to try to get it with its Malyuka missile, but with 35% accuracy. It is vetted up quite a bit, so that's a 58% accurate missile. It is going to be firing, but the Merkava is almost fully reloaded, even in its panic state. And it actually, both the shell and the missile missed. And the Nakula is coming forward. Looks like it's going to be trying to aim against that Merkava 1 missile going forward. It does successfully take that out, as looks like Messer was trying to see what the enemy had. The answer is a lot. So let's not try that again. I did move up my Lijuan 90 and Luandi 90s as well. See if I could try to pull another front line so I could be more comfortable in center as I focus against all these ships. Now the enemy is going to be moving forward with a bunch of Chanceries and Congos, and they're going to start off with some Super Hornets coming forward, but the Super Hornets are going to evac out for some reason. Now Chanceries are basically designed as close-in weapon systems. The problem is that while those Sea Vulcans are pretty good, they really lack the range. You only have about 2 seconds of sustained fire to try to stop a missile, and you're going to find that that actually kind of falls short from being able to do enough to stop missiles, whereas these guys have 2,800 meters for their range, and their guns are about the same. A Type 21 tried to come around the wrong side of the island, and all of my ships decided to say hello and took that out. The enemy is going to be trying to sweep in over onto the left-hand side, as Roviat 90s and Zeldas are going to come against these Luandi coming forward. I am going to be trying to stop them with some anti-air or some bomber support. More missiles are coming in, and another barrage of missiles. That Lafayette is so dead. Yep, completely overwhelmed, because as you can see, the Lafayettes do not have any guns on it. Looks like a Attackums is going against my Jangoose 3s. Another missile barrage coming for that Lafayette. Successfully hits it on the side. That goes down. An Su-27 SK does get shot down, but I did help shoot down one of the tram shooters that was going for my ships. The M1992 is now going to be opening up with its Conqueror's missile, which does miss the Champs 3, but none of the ships are targeting the M1992, even though none of their main guns are occupied at the moment. Another missile by the M1192 misses the Champs 3, as the Champs 3 are starting to get into range. Super Hornets are going to come in, going for my Nanushka. Does take out the Nanushka, as this other Nanushka's weapon officer is down. And seeing that they are pushing forward heavily, I am going to be going into a retreat, because the enemy has way too many forces for me to be able to handle. M1192 fired another Conqueror's missile, successfully hits the Champs 3, and with another missile from my ships does take that down. The Champs 3 is in the front. We can slowly pick off one at a time and remove their AA net out from under them. Conquerors does miss again as well, as it's trying to target their forces. Jangoose 3s are trying to hold off the enemy missiles they try to turn to a good position. Each ship does have its positioning, which is important, similar to how a tank needs to have its front armor forward. move the Nanushka up so that it could shoot with its rear-facing gun as we go into a retreat force. Champ 3 is taking quite a bit of peppering, but so are my ships. Going to need to go into, like I said, a retreat before long, as I am starting to be outnumbered here. Jenkins 3 is now on the retreat. He stopped his ship, so it's neutralized the sector. And the enemy has indeed won their forces. And I don't have any more ships to bring in, so they have outnumbered me. I do need to be very mindful of this, and I did kind of fall into the trap that I forgot about. Is that, it looks like a ship came a little bit too far forward. Or another plane goes down by the, looks like a comm brings up the Su-27 PUs. Even though my Jenkins 3s were hardened, the fact that the enemy can always do this by spamming ships. Always get your ships in at rookie. Get the most number of ships that you can for your buck. Su-27 PU does fly pretty darn close. Super Hornets are coming in, but these ships do fire on them. But the missiles are coming in for the Jenkins 3. They do successfully connect, and another of my Jenkins 3 goes down. It's the Muna, and the Jenkins 3 and the Nanushka are in full retreat to these Munas for a bit of repair, as the enemy is going to be pushing forward. Super Hornets are again coming in, as the Jenkins 3 is going to desperately try to shoot them down. And it successfully shot them all down, or the ones that were going to hit. Everything else missed. It's on fire a little bit from a hit previously, as Su-27Ks are going to be firing their missiles. I think they actually successfully hit a Champ 3, which is well done for only 2 missiles being brought in. Messer has a couple of, looks like anti-ship artillery, that's what I'm guessing, on that island. And Com is going to be taking steps to move forward with his Sovereignty. This is going to be a good stalwart of defense against this force moving forward. Missiles are coming in against the Champ 3 as well as the main gun, also opening up. Looks like they're targeting my Muna, which is very, very rude. Missiles are coming in, which is actually kind of good that my Muna is here. All these missiles are now going to be flying off instead of being targeted at the Sovereignty, instead of being coordinated. So the Sovereignty is able to pick off the missiles one at a time with its multiple close weapon system. How many of those things does it have? Well, the answer is a lot. It's going to be firing more missiles against the Champ 3. As a trap intruder is going to be flying overhead, it's going to try to get into range of the Sovereignty. My Jangu 3 is now trying to be able to engage with its anti-ship missiles as well. Now, the Sovereignty has extremely long-range missiles, anti-ship missiles, and potentially backed up by my Su-27SK and the Su-27 PU. That tram intruder does go down as the ships are kind of stuck out in the open. Looks like Messer unloaded his bows, which are going to be going in as a surprise run, and takes out the Congo in the back line, successfully nullifying that other Congo. Now, Messer does surrender. He said he did have to go, so this actually leaves us now with me and Cobb against the combined sea forces of the enemy. As the enemy did do a huge push and did take out my CV, and I need to also focus at the same time on center, getting center back under control while trying to keep the enemy forces at bay. Nanushka is fully rearmed and is going to be moving up, as the Jangu 3 is going to need to be refilled as well. Sovereignty is being reloaded by the Muna and has a Udaloy 2 here, which has an exceptional close weapon system that will be able to help successfully defend the Sovereignty against any other additional missiles, which it looks like the enemy is actually out of missiles to continue the fight. Champ 3 does go down, as its close weapon system was not good enough to hold that off. Cobras are going to be taking out the Baal, as the U-Winds are actually out or not in range with their guns, or have a line of sight to take out the Cobra. The Congo and the Lafayette are now just going to take continued peppering from the Sovereignty. The Udaloy is going to get closer. Another attack of missiles coming in on top of the Udaloy. And I think it missed. Wow, it missed. A rocket barrage is coming in against my forces as they were trying to resupply. But I do finally bring up some HU-61s to keep enemy aircraft from coming forward. The Congo and the Lafayette are just taking missiles one after the other from the Sovereignty. At this point, he needs to retreat and get out of range of the Sovereignty. He's taking unnecessary hits. My M1192 was spotted by a longbow and its exceptional optics as it came forward, as the Mi-24D is going to try to take on these 2 Cobras with its Yak B. And with the fact that it actually has 1 front armor, and these Cobras don't have any armor penetration value, whereas the Mi-24D has a pretty good gun. Does actually successfully just shoot them out of the sky with its main gun, so very nicely done by Cobb. as the longbow is moving up. It's going to spot my CV as well. I had unloaded the Mi-8 earlier with that CV squad, so it doesn't get discovered by the ship. So it's in that forest area as a backup. Longbow is going to try to take out the Mi-24D. It looks like it's engaged it from out of range. I am beginning my push forward with the Luandi with the Z9A support and trying to retake this sector as another of my truck CVs is going to be taken over into center here onto this into center. Looks like Com is successfully got into Leonid. He's most of the way there. If he moves his VDV-90 up, he should be able to take out the whatever CV might be lurking here, but I'm sure he's very, very preoccupied by the ships over here onto the right-hand side. The Ukrainians are going to be trying to engage with the longbow to do quite a bit of damage, and I think the longbow did in fact get away. Sovereign is taking a beating from those attackums, as the Jango 3 is going to be opening up with its missiles. Super Hornets are coming in. Instantly I'm bringing my Su-27SK to see if I can stop the forces coming in. The missiles do not make their mark on the Sovereign, as the Su-27SK did shoot down one of the Super Hornets. And the Lafayettes are continuing taking missile fire from both the Sovereign and Jango 3. Over in the middle, Lavis are coming forward, but the HQ-61s are going to be opening up with their radar missiles to successfully shoot that out of the sky, even though the bombs did get off and heavily damaged by Luandi. I do have recontrol of center, giving us valuable points in the future. And Com brought in another Sovereign, which is actually impossible. But since our ally left, and we get a little bit of extra troops in each card, that means a whole brand new Sovereign. And remember when I told you I was out of ships? Well, that was indeed true at the time, but when I saw the Sovereign, I realized, wait a minute, I can actually bring in other ships. So that this first engagement of massive missiles completely failed with the two combined close-to weapon system of the Sovereign and the Udaloy. With the combined missile strike of the Jango 3 and all of our ships, a Congo does indeed go down, as another barrage from the Lafayettes are coming in, and that is going to be successfully deflected. As another Lafayette does go down with the Sovereign and the Udaloy 2s as well. And there is me realizing that I now suddenly have ships again. So, able to make up for the fact that this deck doesn't have enough ships as I would have liked. I'm able to finally bring them in thanks to our ally actually leaving the game. So I'm going to be moving my Jango 3 forward. I want to get out of range so that no explosion would be able to damage ships. And I'm going to try to use it as a screening force, especially against these Lafayettes, to protect these Sovereigns. They're worth a lot more points than the Jango 3s. But a weapon system's reboot means it can no longer fire. So I am actually going to have it retreat over here onto the left-hand side. And Anushka's move forward is going to try to engage with its missiles, trying to stop the Lafayette. Jango 3 still peppering away with its missiles as it's still being repaired by that Muna. One Lafayette does go down. Second Jango 3 is going to replace the first one that had its weapon system rebooted. It's going to come over here onto the right-hand side. It's going to try to do the same similar tactic, providing a screening force for these Sovereign. The missiles that are being fired by the Lafayette are intercepted immediately as the Jango 3 fires the missiles really far down against those Lafayettes. Does successfully help in taking out one of them, which the combined explosion took out another ship as well, probably an LCU, as the other Lafayette, which did a suicide charge, did get taken down by the weapons cannon by the Sovereign and the Jango 3. And so we have successfully defended against the massive overreaction sea force from the enemy. Another attack comes, missiles coming in. Misses completely as the Sovereign are now moving forward as our combined sea push is going to be underway. And when I said that I got Jango 3s back, that also means more Munas, more Nanushkas, and also another Sovereign as well. I am moving forward my vehicles up here to see what the enemy had, and the answer is a lot. The enemy is pushing forward here. Lijuan 90s are opening up with their napalm and are going to be doing the initial stun. But these are a lot of tankettes that are doing quite a bit of damage against the Lijuan 90s. As the Luzuandi 90s, now with very heavy-duty AP guns, are going to be taking out these vehicles. The Lijuan 90s are taking hell of a beating, but the Luzuandi 90s quickly make short work of the vehicles that are left. And now I am pushing back forward, basically on all fronts here, as our ships are moving forward quite fast. Adapt flies overhead. My CV infantry squad has its weapons open and is going to engage, but is firing quite quickly. that it actually causes one of the DAPs to actually die. So, well done, CV squad. This is why more accurate and higher rate of fire is better than longer range for CV, because if they have to come that they have to be forced to defend themselves, they can do quite a bit of damage, or just do some damage, as much damage as possible before before they die. And the surprise is they actually killed this thing that was trying to hunt them down. SU-27SK is coming up. I don't know if I'm actually going for the DAP or if I'm just doing a fly overhead to defend against all these ships in case more anti-ship planes might be coming up. Big bombing run comes in, really stuns up these Lijuan 90s and Zuluandi 90s, but doesn't actually kill them. Zeldas are moving up, do have quite a bit of firepower, do need to be worried about, but the Zuluandi 90s do have the anti-tanks to take them out, but one of the squads does die, as either a lot of Zeldas have to be mindful of. Another one does go down, as this is the last anti-tank missile that is there. Bombing run takes out another one of the Zelda from my Q5D, as the Fabeo flew overhead to make sure there was no seed. There wasn't. And the Zuluandi 90 is now out of anti-tank guided, or out of bazooka missile, as another napalm rocket does take out another Zelda. These 190 are going to try to keep holding off the enemy forces, but it looks like I am running out of steam and holding off the enemy over on the left-hand side. And now that we took off so many ships, I knew the enemy doesn't have very much, but my CV squad, now that it's been spotted, is going to be artillery and taken out. But now that my ships are moving up, I am going to begin doing my landing craft, because knowing that the enemy lost a whole lot of ships, I knew that they didn't have much to be able to hold off my push as I tried to take over into Fedor, especially with all the loss that they had. But the enemy is going to be counterattacking down here into the center side. I'm quickly starting to move my troops that I had just recently brought in. Shilka's opened up against the Anfas, which might have been trying to go and drop off enemy forces or just do a bit of scouting. But the Shilkas and the sheer amount of firepower quickly turned those Anfas into free points. They are indeed empty, as they are crash landing and not dropping up any points up. But the enemy force is coming down here into the forest. I do need to be mindful, as my ZSD 63s are going to be bringing up the infantry. My ships are coming around on the left-hand side. They're going to be targeting the LCU, or this Bison actually first, but they're going to get into range. Try to take out the enemy forces. My CV squad trying to run from the artillery. See if we can get out of the area of which the artillery is being targeted. But nope, one artillery squad does successfully take that out, as these Sovereignty and Udaloy are successfully holding on a hostage. Another MI8 is brought up, and I'm going to be planning to take out the LCU. Now, I've dropped up the Zuluandi to basically protect against my CV, and this ZSD, seeing that there is a big spam coming in, are being sent to find where the spam is. Shayat 13s are coming in. These are Special Forces Israeli squads. Zuluandi are going to try to hold off as best they could, as the D9A is going to be opened up with the autocannon. But the pure elite training of the Shayat 13s are going to be holding off the Zulu, are going to be able to overwhelm the Zuluandi, and are going to be able to take this spot. My mortars are going to be opening up, trying to help out, and the Q5D is going to try to get its missile. So before it landed, the Shayat 13s managed to get into the building, completely dodging the missile entirely. That was greatly annoying. Labby is also coming in, and HQ-61s are going to be again firing their missiles. Both missiles hit. The last missile in the ammo fires and misses as well, as 3 Mercantile 1s are pushing down the center. Shayat 13s have successfully taken this town, so I have to be mindful that they are quite indeed a threat. Shilkas are quickly taken out, as Zuluandis are holding off, and I'm bringing in a B5 to try to see if I could soften up the Shayat 13s. And that by those sparks, I imagine I did quite a bit of damage. Now the enemy has brought forth a bunch of Chancelleries and Lafayettes to try to stop the push forward. At this point, I have no way fearful of these Chancelleries. They have no real reasonable way to take out my ships. And the only thing I really have to worry about is those ATACMS missiles. So I am going to retreat for now. I'm going to reload, and I'm just going to take out those Chancelleries one little bit at a time. Just got to consolidate my forces, take this nice and slow, and be smart. Now my MY1 does see that there's a bunch of blue forces coming down. My ZSD and Zeldas are just looking at each other, neither having enough powerful weaponry to shoot at each other, so they're just going to pretend that there's ships passing in the night. My Luzuwandi should be able to hold off those Zeldas, but I am quite fearful that that other big blob, that the Luzuwandi are not going to be able to hold them off. So I move my other two ships forward to see where they are possibly are. As I bring in a B5, B5 has dropped its bomb. Will I have accurately predicted where those tanks are with this big bomb? And that answer is yes, I did. That is a whole lot of stuff gone, as the Luzuwandi with their RPGs are going to be taking out these Zeldas as they are coming forward. The Zeldas not as heavily armored as they would have liked, and the Luzuwandi with their RPGs going to successfully take them out, especially with a bit of bombing assistance by Com. Canadian Airborne are moving up, and it looks like the enemy is getting desperate as we are about 3,000 points advantage right now. MI8 is going to be moving back a little bit, just in case. And am I going to land it on this island, or is it just going to hover there? I'm not sure. We'll check that out later. Mooners are coming in as I did reconsolidate all my Jangus with the Sovereignty and Utiloy. And looks like it's just going to hover there. Okay. So yeah, these Champs du Riz are basically the last obstacle into my ultimate goal of amphibious landing. B5 is coming in, is shot down by a Patriot, but my Fabeo does take out that Patriot as well. Fabeo flies the back line, takes out another Patriot that was coming in. Does evac, as there is AA that is firing on it, but every missile seems to be missing. Finally, one does hit at the last second, but the Fabeo does get out in time. Looks like some Dorban LRs are moving up. Make BM is also moving up with his anti-radar missiles, but there's no seat left to be held. BMPTs against Merkava 1s. That's not very good because BMPTs don't really have any way of doing AP damage. But these Mi-24Ds might be able to do something with their Flayet missiles. These are elite or veteraned up. Their missiles are pretty accurate now. And their missiles are not doing enough. They're only doing 1 damage using Merkavas with their 16 front armor. Oh, that sucks. So, the enemy is trying to keep us on our toes, but we are doing quite well in holding them off. The Munas are repairing the Sovereignty. I was hoping that to be able to resupply my Jangus 3s. I am bringing up my second Sovereignty and Nanushka as I get ready for my final push into Fedor. Looks like Super Hornets, Mr. AMRAAM missiles, backed up by Hornets, are going to try to shoot down the planes that I had brought in. Probably bombers to take out whatever into this forest here. So I did help try to stop the push that was coming into Jot. Com still hasn't done anything with Leonid after he pushed up so far. Like I said, he's probably preoccupied with everything. He's got Messer's L-18s, and he's basically flying around, make sure no planes do come out. Though, as an advantage, if you see a bunch of planes that have evac'd, bringing your own planes in and flying around a bit is counterproductive because those planes that just evac'd do need to rearm. So it's better to just evac your planes and then just wait for a couple minutes when you think they might bring them out again, and then bring in the planes and do the circle runs as a tip for the future. I do have some WZ-550s. These were just in case the enemy was going to push their ships forward with their long ATGMs. They would be able to have done significant damage to ships if they had come close. So that is basically a contingency plan, which I promptly forgot about after bringing them in because we took out the ships. Attack them to take out one of the Sovereignties of Com. And at this point, I realized that they were just going to be picking us off. So the Jangus 3, which have moved back into the Muna so that they can quickly rearm, are going to be shortly going to be pushing into this. I'm going to speed it up a little bit as there is a little bit lull in the fighting. I dropped down my attack marker, basically telling to Com, we're going to be moving forward. Sovereignty fired with his first 2 missiles and took out one of the Champs du Riz. Like I said, the Sea Vulcans, while good, do have the range that do make it so that they're not quite up for the job. Another missile coming in. Guns start opening up, but as you can see, they only have about a couple seconds of acquire and fire time to be able to stop these missiles. And as you can see, that missile stopped nearly over that Champs du Riz. More and more missiles are coming forward. Super Hornet gets too close to the Sovereignty and gets shot down by the anti-air missiles. See, ship missiles are still coming forward. as it looks like another rocket barrage is coming in, damaging up this Udaloy, Salvermeni, and Munas. At this point, I'm not going to sit as a sitting duck for these 8 anti-tank or these rockets to be coming in. I'm going to be making the charge with all of my ships. Anusha's going to be swimming wide over on the right as the Salvermeni and Jagu 3 are going to try to time their missiles to go and successfully one at a time. Despite all the missiles, one does get through all the Champ Series firepower. Another bunch of missiles are coming through. You're going for another Champ Series. Does take that out. And as you can see, these missiles, let's see, look at the Salvermeni, have 120 AP power. Each one of those blocks is a Champ Series, I think it's about 20. So that's about 80 AP power, so just one missile is all it takes to take out the Champ Series, which kind of lets the Champ Series down a little bit. Salvermeni is firing its Moscat missiles. Another missile takes out another Champ Series in one hit, as most of those enemy forces that were holding us back is taking out. The enemy is again bombing my forces down into center, but I am just slowly just keeping this enough forces here so to keep it defended. Nighthawk is coming in right as Calm evacs his Su-27, but it does fly over with the Tunguska and all the anti-air, and despite having no ECM, does escape the fight. I am signaling my attack markers, trying to say with Calm that I am going to be making the push and come join me. My landing vessels are moving up, as well as the Nanushka is going to be engaging with its Malakit missiles. The Lafayette just appeared. No, that's not actually that's not a defect in the game. The Lafayette actually has medium stealth, so ships can actually miss it out in the open ocean. Weird, but I know. This Lafayette looks like it's out of actually Crotel missiles to defend itself, so it's relying on the Champ Series to defend it, and the lack of range only gave it like less than a second of time to stop those missiles, and the missiles were able to quickly overwhelm it. A couple of missiles from the Nanushka come forward, and with 160 AP power, also able to take out these Champ Series in one shot. Now we're getting into weapons range, which is a lot longer than the Champ Series, but that's not needed, as that is probably the last of the enemy ships. Looks like all of the rest of the forces of Calm are moving up, as I see that this sector is neutralized. The Mi-8 is going to be moving, they're going to be dropping off the CV infantry to recapture Anna, as I am bringing forward more and more landing craft. As I move up my ships to be right on top of the sea reinforcement point, this would be able to allow us to do full barrage of anything that might come in, destroy it, and then when we take over, as long as I can get one of my CV ships into Fedor and successfully neutralize it, no more ships can be brought in, though, like I said, I doubt they might have any ships to begin with. I'm also going to begin doing my marine push as I bring in the Mi-8s and the Z9A. They're going to be able to come from the sea lane and be able to fly really quickly and basically get here by about the same time as these landing craft get onto the beaches. As you can see, I've got an anti-air unit and a couple of tanks ready to begin our push forward. The enemy is going to be countering by doing another push over here on the left-hand side. My HQ-61s take out the Anfas, no problem, as my Zil cargo trucks are going to be quickly reloading those missiles, as with only 2 missiles each. They do run out of ammo quite quickly, but the enemy is doing the push forward, so I quickly move my command vehicle over here onto the right-hand side, as well as the cargo truck, to see if I can repair these Lu Luandi, as I move some other Lu Luandi who have crossed the river here into building position to see if they can hold off any push, because I expect that to be coming before long. Jagu 3 is taken out, probably by an attack of missile, but now that the ships have loitered, they have now successfully neutralized the sector, and I hit the unload button, hoping that the U-Quings would quickly go to the nearest beach and unload, forgetting that they had actually amphibious tanks in them, so they just unloaded their tanks in the river. So now the tanks will have to swim to shore, but which are actually, despite being, oh, that's right, 20 knots, 35 kilometers an hour. That's weird, it's not the same measurement of why that is. My Iglas are taken out by the artillery barrage, and it seems like artillery is all that the enemy has left. Looks like Calm is actually successfully doing his push forward successfully finally. Like Pakotas, which are interesting, took out some Bradley tanks. As a Stinger C is engaging with the M16. That's a big mistake against these Spetsnaz Grus. That didn't take long as the LAV is taken out and Com is winning his push onto the left-hand side. My push on the right-hand side is only just beginning as the tanks are now successfully transitioning from sea to land. These are excellent Chinese tanks for the price that they are, giving very good stats, and the fact that they're amphibious. Now, quickly, they are going to be going in a scatter formation with his HQ-7, knowing that my push, landing push probably came as a surprise. I doubted that there was anything to really hold off against or provide any opposition to this LTS, so I was quickly looking for the CV, and it looks like I may have just found it. Did indeed confirm that with the fact that now the sector is ours, and now with the sea lane, I can bring up more landing craft and more helicopters with troops to continue my seaborne push. 4 M1A1 Abrams are coming up as the LTS is going to be taken out. My DTS did successfully flank the MIP Abrams and take one out at point blank range, but they are taken out themselves. MI8 are going to be stunning up these tanks as the Jikwande 90s are going to be moving up, and they do have 23 AP power, so if I can get them into this building, I can successfully take out these Abrams tanks, as they are going to be opening up against my Jangu 90s as well. These are also trying to get in range of their RPGs, as the MI8s continue to stun up and cause all sorts of problems. Jangu 90s firing Mr. RPGs, taking out more M1A1 Abrams, as some OH-858Cs are going to be taking out my MI8s. HQ-7 is going to acquire and take out one. It's going to fire again, take out the second, or miss the second. Does take out the second as the Jekwade 90s are peppering and hitting the Abrams in the front armor where it hurts, as more and more of my landing craft are landing and dropping off HQ-7s and now M1992s. As that last Abrams does go down. So now I've got the recon, I've got the aircraft, I've got the tanks, I've got the AA infantry and the regular infantry, and this is looking like a complete second front that has now opened up, as I'm going to go straight for Gregory, as artillery seems to have, I think artillery has taken out the CV here in Gregory, or the enemy has given up and is trying to charge all of their stuff forward. My CV did get taken out, as there is a tank here into the back line. Lee Ren and Zhu Duandi are going to be trying to pincer. The Type 69 is not enough to penetrate the M70's front armor very well. Stabilizer malfunction, as the Lee Ren are going to come up from behind with a better RPG and take it out. So now that I've successfully hold off into center, Moon is going to be coming in, going to be trying to refuel and resupply all this stuff. Got a landing craft that's not unloaded its HQ-7 just yet. Another ATACMS missiles coming for my Silverraptor. Does a bit of damage, but my Silverraptor is able to shrug it off a little bit. Another one's coming in. I think ATACMS is about 20. Or a little bit more than that. Does take out 3 bars, so that's about 60 health that the Silverraptor had lost. As the other HQ-7 is finally unloaded, and now the M11992s and the HQ-7s are going to be charging forward. As I bring in more MI8s with Yakuande 90s, my Lijuan 90s are also going to be moving forward. Also fetch Yakuande 90s, they're 15-man squads, so very formidable force to be going up against. Gregory has been recaptured by the enemy, and we are going to be engaging into a flank pursuit. But at this point, it is 1 minute 32 seconds. All that back and forth sea engagement to be pushed back onto our side, and then pushing all the way forward and starting our landing took about an hour of time. Com has taken over here onto the left-hand side, basically going to provide support with its missiles. ATGMs are firing against the Udaloid 2, as the Udaloid 2 is not able to quite see it. HE rockets are going to be coming in from, or raining from above. And I have a couple of planes in, knowing that it's 1 minute. I am going to be bringing in a B5 and a Fabeo. I'm going to be dropping the bomb right where I think would be a choke point that the enemy might have set up troops for my inevitable push in. And this Fabeo is to see if it can shoot down any radar AA that might be in the area. Instead, some Super Hornets are coming in. Do take out my B5, but that bomb is en route. And whatever was in there is so stunned up that my MI8s are going to probably be able to land with no problem at all. They are going to be fired at by infantry in here. Ammo box is hit. That is unfortunate. But the Yak-190s are successfully unloaded, as the Leash 190s are also making good headway. Yak-190s get to the building. I'm going to be engaging with the Delta Force as my assault has begun for the full amphibious landing to cut off their reinforcement point at Gregory. And just as the things are starting to heat up, the game ends with a minor victory where we get 13,800, and I'm going to round that up to 90 points, to 9,745 losses. I alone have gotten 7,157 points to 4,720. A lot of that is due to the ships. One thing about ship combat is that those points are going to fly up quite exponentially, but we all did positive, or scored positive, so excellent job all around. So sad that Messer wasn't able to stick around, but him leaving actually allowed us the chance to really push back with an additional Sovereign each. Sovereign at the beginning didn't get too many points at the start, but the Jangoose 3s really did well. The Nushka 3s also scoring lots and lots of kills, especially against these Lafayettes. These Lafayettes, while good, do need other ships around them to help intercept enemy missiles that are coming in. A lot of little kills here and there with my land-based forces, but my main focus was on the sea, and also being able to hold off the enemy forces as they came forward. That CV kill, killing the DAP, priceless. Excellent job. Yedong, you're going to go down in the history books as a hero. Jangu 3s to get some kills. My second Sovereign able to take out a Super Hornet because of those AA missiles. Able to take out most ships. So if you're ever flying a anti-ship plane, you're safe against any kind of Red Force ship except for Sovereign. You do need to be mindful of that. The best way to do that is to time your planes to come in, and just before they get into range, you have anti-ship missiles coming in, because those Sovereign missiles will target the first thing that comes into range, and that will be the missiles that are coming in, because they are defensive missiles as well. They will be able to intercept the missiles from other ships. If they're targeting that, then the Super Hornets can unload their missiles and get out before the Sovereign can quickly reacquire its missiles onto them, instead be focusing those missiles as defense instead of an offensive action to take out the Super Hornet. And that was a bit of a mouthful. I hope some of you understood it, and those who understood it take tips when fighting in ship combat. Yep, and those Abrams did the last stand, but the Yak-190s able to quickly clear them up just fine. So yeah, that was a long game. Very good game. It was very nice to be able to do a sea engagement. Also, with that thing of running out of ships, I have changed the deck code, both in the deck code for the Marines deck and this one. The ships are no longer hardened, where you get fewer of them. They're all going to go back down to rookie, so you can get more of these ships, because you kind of need to have quantity on the ship front. That's just how it goes. But thank you so much for watching. Please suggest any other decks that you guys would want me to do down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to go get to them. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.